Hello, Star Wars and unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing Show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba, and today we're pulling back the curtain on an old, lesser-known set of toys, or I should say, set of figures that were found in a toy called Star Wars Unleashed. Now, Star Wars Unleashed doesn't just mean the old video game, Force Unleashed, and it doesn't just mean the Star Wars Unleashed kind of like epic scale Star Wars figures, which I've collected. I almost had all of them, and I've pretty much gotten rid of them all too. This was another thing entirely. And before we get to that, though, we have a bonus unboxing, okay? And that is the Force Awakens Millennium Falcon, okay? Why are we unboxing this? Well, frankly, I thought I already did. And if I didn't already do it, I'm going to do it now. And if I did already do it, well, then we're doing it again because I love the Falcon, and any excuse to unbox a Millennium Falcon is fine by me. Especially one that isn't going to take up an entire shelf. This one, it's so cute. It's that nice little one. And I do like that my favorite thing about the Falcon in The Force Awakens and the subsequent Star Wars movies is that I'm really excited that they kept it on its original thing. It really, unless you are an avid and as much of a fan as I am, I'm not the kind of fan that can sit and look at a model of a Millennium Falcon and tell you if it's an episode 4 model, 5, 6, if it's that little tiny one that you saw briefly in episode 3, or if it's the sequel trilogy. Other than the dish. The dish in episode 8 and 9, or 7 and 8, is rectangular instead of circular. But I really don't have much memory of, like, I'm not like pausing the screen or looking at the technical manuals to see everything else. So really, I don't really know that, but it is cool that they kept it mostly the same. They kept it like in its little battered up piece of junk that can fly really fast, and they just updated it. And they should have updated the dish, because if you recall, the last time we saw the Falcon really in action was in Return of the Jedi, and poor Lando knocked the dish off in the Death Star. So what are you going to do? It needed a new dish, so it got one at some point. All right. I also love that. Now, of course, this is not meant for an adult size, but you can kind of put it on a ring, like on a ring, and kind of we'll fly it around like that, which is pretty good. And I do appreciate that it stays pretty tightly on the stand, and it works as a stand by itself. So really cool stuff. In fact, I'm just gonna pop it up here, okay, and have it be there. Now let's get on with the meat and potatoes of this. What will be eventually will be a shorter episode. So here we have the Star Wars Unleashed Battle of Hoth Imperial Assault. Now, Star Wars Unleashed, as I said, was primarily I would say an 8 to 9 inch statuesque kind of figures that were in really epic poses, and they could stay, they freestand, and they just looked like an epic kind of statuesque model that you could put on your desk or on a bookshelf or something like that. And they were really nice, and I really liked them at the time they came out. Then shortly after they were coming out, I think they were coming out at the same time as the original ones, or that it was shortly after it, but they created these, and this is essentially just Star Wars answer to Army Men. Okay, now there have been other episodes. We've done episodes where they actually had an Army Men style game that you could play with them, but all of those figures, and they were really small, they were really like Army Men size, but they were definitely more like Army Men. They were all one color, white or orange or red or blue or whatever, and that was it. And it was meant to be more like game pieces, that you would play. This was meant to be more like high-end Army figures. I mean, if you've ever seen people that are like Civil War buffs and like to reenact Civil War battles like on a tabletop, almost like model trains, but model battles. The accuracy and the detail in those figures is really quite nice and quite lovely. So, and very detailed. So, this is a kind of like, I guess, Hasbro, their answer to that. These came out in 2007, so they're about 13 years old. I collected like 2 or 3 of them, and then I stopped, and I actually got rid of most of them. But I did keep one, and I want to do an unboxing with it because, I mean, the displayability of it like this is nice. I mean, it's got the little backdrop. You got the AT-AT back there. You got some snow speeders on this side, right? But I just kind of feel like I want to separate them out and just kind of see what they're like. So why don't we do that now? I do believe there was also the Battle of Geonosis and the Battle of Kashyyyk. So there's a couple of different things. Now, I got to applaud. A lot of people get mad at Hasbro because, like I've mentioned on previous episodes, there's a lot of people that just feel like, they're ignoring the 3 3/4 inch collectors. And my answer to that is, well, I don't think they're purposely ignoring anybody. I think that they're just trying to they're trying to see what sticks. They throw a lot of things out there, see what sticks. And the reality of it is not as many people are collecting, the 3 3/4 inch as they're used to. Actually, kids are not collecting. I teach kids for a living, folks. I can tell you this. They're not collecting at all. There's not as much of that anymore. I mean, everything is now, think about it. Think about how popular Pokemon Go was. Pokemon Go, there's nothing physical about it. It's all in your phone. You can collect, but you collect on your phone. And places like Topps Trading Cards, they've actually tried to get on board with this by having online tradable app games where you can actually trade cards that don't actually exist, but they're just pictures on your phone with other people, and you can do that. And it's great. I've never been a trader like that, but great. I mean, it's great for them to see ways to evolve and go into new things. But actually having actual physical based toys. Think about Skylanders and Disney Infinity, where they had the toys that you would put on the little base and that would activate the video game. They were trying desperately to keep toys, like physical playthings, in the market. And honestly, I just feel like we are evolving away from that. And I that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, people get upset about it. But I also think that we're evolving into a way where everyone can be very personal with their collection. I mean, there's a lot of customizers out there, which I think is awesome. And there's all this stuff that's going on now with 3D printing. I just discovered all these things on eBay where you can actually get 3D printed figures that were never produced. I mean, it's not official, but they're great. And I'm actually thinking about investing in some of them because they're awesome. It'd be really cool to have like a little area that's devoted to custom figures. I look forward to kind of building that up as a collection. So we'll see what happens. But back to this one. All right, so here's we go. We have 4 Snow Troopers, 4 Rebel Troopers, and then Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker with lightsabers in hand. So apparently they are setting up an imaginary tale that Luke and Vader met and fought on Hoth. Which, you know what? Some people get really upset. Oh, what did happen in the movie? Why do I always sound like that? Why do I always sound like a fan? Like fans that are mad always sound like little whiny babies. I don't mean that. No. You can have a legitimate gripe. It's totally fine. But I do think that in the end, people are just trying to set up like an imagery for to make it look really cool, so that people might take it off the shelf and say, "Hey, this is really cool. This is something I'd like to do." They have these twist ties in the bottom, of course, so they're going to take me a few seconds to get off here. But we are doing okay. They're better than... Ooh, that one just came apart. Wow, okay. All right. So, as I said, there were 3 other sets in this that I know of. I don't think they were... as I said, I think Hasbro was throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what stuck, and I don't think that there was a lot of success with this. And if I recall, they were kind of pricey for no articulated, essentially detailed army men, but not metal like the wooden, like the toy soldiers that you would have like in a Civil War reenactment or something. Sometimes unboxing, the world of unboxing is not sexy. Let me just say that. It's a crazy... This one looks like it was braided like hair. What are you doing? Gee willikers. There it is. 2 more, guys. 2 more. All right. Almost there. Yeah, Hasbro tried to do a lot of things, see what stuck, but it didn't always work. The reality of it is that not everybody would pick up on everything. I mean, God, you can see that now with any toy. Like, just go into any toy aisle of a store, and you'll see a lot of toys that are just kind of hanging out, warming the pegs, hanging out. And it's a big thing. It's a thing that people have to get used to. And, but I, for one, am not that concerned over it. I feel as though, we survived. Remember, my people my age survived when we loved Star Wars. We thought the world of Star Wars, and just as we were getting to the point where we were all, granted there were no new movies, so that might have had something to do with it. But when you got to the point that we were, starting to get jobs where we had money in our bank accounts and we can actually go out and spend our own money instead of asking something from mommy and daddy, right? What happens? They stop making the figures, and they're like, oh, man, that stinks. And then they came out, but not that, and what added insult to injury for us, fans of a certain age, they didn't just stop making the figures. No, they started making other things like G.I. Joe. And don't get me wrong, G.I. Joe, there's a whole, you can find all sorts of people online and on YouTube and everything that devote huge resources to that. In fact, they have tons more viewership and subscribers than I ever will, because I am very niche. I am only Star Wars. Where these people can get into Star Wars, but then they can also get into G.I. Joe, and they can get into Transformers, and they can get into He-Man, and it's absolutely insane. So, that's a true thing to kind of keep your eyes out for, because, it is something that you have to be, you have to go with what's popular at the time. There were no more Star Wars movies. They tried the Ewoks and Droids cartoon, and there wasn't anything to that. But, if they could have just, turned it into a comic book or TV series like G.I. Joe and made it like that. Oh, what adventures we could have had. Some of the stuff that came out during the Droids and the Power of the Force, the final lines of Star Wars, were some of my favorite. They were really getting good with everything, So it's kind of sad. But anyway, let's get back to this. All right, so here we have these figures. Now, I got to tell you, they are really well detailed. I'll get some close-up shots, but these are like, multicolor painted, different positions. Okay, you got your surveyor here with the head, with the quadnoculars, binoculars, whatever. You've got your rebel soldier with the rifle, kind of right here. You got your other rebel soldier that has it looks like more like the rebel commander, with a single pistol shot, And then you have the one a little bigger here with the cannon. I like that, just kind of sitting in the snow, shooting at his cannon. And then on top of that, you got Luke Skywalker. Now, Luke Skywalker is, pretty much in his correct fatigues for Hoth, but he's got his lightsaber out. Now, we don't have a Wampa here, but that's the only thing he fought against with with his lightsaber. There was a moment, and you can find photos of this where he actually took one of these small cannons. And apparently, Mark Hamill had commented on it. A recent photo that was released said that he was actually it was an unproduced scene or deleted scene where he was kind of fighting off Wampas with that. So there you go. Those are our rebels, and then we have snowtroopers. They all have kind of flowing capes. That's really cool. All right. Whoop. You got to be careful. Some of them have only one little base on the foot. So if you put it down too fast, it might tip over. And then you got one like this. Is kind of crouching with this rifle, standing again with like a partial base. This one almost looks like it just got shot, which is kind of funny because I think the micro collection from Empire Strikes Back had a similar one. These are a little bigger than that. The micro collection was only about an inch, maybe a little bit bigger. This is a solid 2 inches, so that's good. And then you got the Lord of the Sith, Vader himself. I don't think he ever took the saber out during the Battle of Hoth, but this is for imagination purposes, and in my imagination, sure, he could have taken him out. It would have been great. And yeah, he could have fought Luke before Luke left. That would have been a cool thing. But that didn't happen. I like how his foot is standing on, like, I thought it was a snake, but no, it wasn't a snake. It was cables from the Hoth base. So by themselves, again, without the diorama background and whatever, I don't really think it's missing much. I think that these are great. You can put them up in a lot more more subtle locations. You have a lot. If you have a lot more small space that you can do, it works. So, and one thing I will say, guys, buyer beware and opener and unboxer beware when it comes to older items, even items that aren't that old, like 2007. Some of those things go for a pretty penny on eBay. However, to know for sure what they're going for, when you do a search, you have to search completed auctions, and you have to search and filter in only sold items. Because lots of people will say that they might have listed something like this for, say, for example, they might have listed this for $150. Whoa, yeah. But did somebody pay $150? If they did, great. But if they didn't, what did they pay? $20? $15? $10? So, that's a good gauge as to see how popular these were and how many people want to have them in their collection. But you can also, if you look at like flea markets and garage sales and yard sales, you might find these all kind of loose in a box, because it definitely looks like something, if I were a parent and I knew my son or daughter was really into Star Wars, or if I was buying a present for somebody and I knew they were into Star Wars, I would imagine as a parent, even, not pretending that I know nothing about Star Wars, I would imagine that if I walked past the toy aisle and I saw this box of 10 figures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 figures. If I saw 10 figures on a box, I would, not even thinking, were they full-size figures, were they articulated, just 10 figures. I would have been like, oh my God, I'm going to be the coolest guy in the world because I'm giving my son or my daughter or whatever, or my niece or nephew, or sending this with my son to his friend's birthday party. 10 figures in a box. That's amazing. All right, so you might see these a lot in people's homes and whatnot, so you might be able to pick them up. But they are cute, they're a lot of fun, and they're very displayable in different areas, different sizes, spaces. This is definitely something you could use if you don't have a lot of room. So that's really good. So that'll do it for this week's episode of Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing Show. Thank you so much for watching. Check out all my other videos, playlists. Thanks to our new subscribers for subscribing. And check out all of our videos on Instagram and Twitter, and Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing page on Facebook. And until next time, may the Force and the toys be with you.